Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and I'm so excited. We have Dane Johnson, and he is from the Crohn's Colitis Lifestyle, and he is here to help you find alternative solutions to your Crohn's, your colitis, and all of your gut issues. So Dane, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Chantel, and I'm excited for everyone today. Let's change some lives. Let's get some results.
Yeah. So give us a brief story of your story of what got you so passionate about Crohn's, colitis, and all kinds of gut issues.
Well, I had a life-threatening battle with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. December 14th, 2014, I nearly died of Crohn's colitis. I say Crohn's colitis because I was diagnosed with both. UCLA said it's ulcerative colitis, and then Cedars-Sinai, no, it's Crohn's disease, and back and forth. No, it's ulcerative colitis gastritis. No, it's Crohn's. And so that's where I got diagnosed with Crohn's colitis, and I got my first bloody bowel movements at 19 years old. By the time my 27th birthday, I was on biologics, TPN feeding tube, 200 milligrams of prednisone, 4 different antibiotics, and I was still not getting better, and they couldn't figure out why.
Wow.
So I didn't just jump into this because it's a hot topic. My family suffered from watching me, lose my life to this and throwing, 5 figures of money at this, not getting results, and trying the hocus pocus of natural medicine and going on every biologic, every steroid, and going to different hospitals around the, country like UCLA and Mayo Clinic, and just not getting anywhere. And I was not a person who I didn't want to do natural medicine. For anyone out there who's really saying, man, I can't get my kids to do this, or I can't get my wife or my husband to do this, or just kind of, man, I don't know if I can be gluten-free or not have alcohol anymore. That was me. I was a kid saying, man, I want my cereal. I want my Subway sandwiches. I want my pizza. I want to be able to crack one open with my buddies. I never wanted to do this. I had no interest. But then when it became life-threatening and I got backed into a corner and then years of suffering, something snapped inside of me. And the big shift, and one of the big moments I want to share with you guys, is natural medicine, functional medicine, becoming self-empowered to take care of yourself is the best gift on the planet and will only make your life better in every way. Name a way, it makes it better. You want to look better, you want to have more energy, you want to have more clarity, you want to get rid of that anxiety, you want to just have more power over what the doctor says, what your fate is. You want to, we want to raise our children better. We want to have a better relationship with the earth. We want to feel more grounded. Take control of health because it's all connected to the earth. And people always say, well, dang, man, you must have done all these great things to heal yourself. My body healed me. God healed me. I just set the stage. I just helped the divine work. And that's what we're doing. So much of what's happening in the body is the subconscious. It's not the conscious. When I put in the right food, when I engage the right nervous system, when I help my microbiome and my immune system work correct, it's going to do the job. I'm just helping it, release that divine power. So that is the big shift, is like when I finally got results, it started in the mind and I decided I wanted this life. I didn't have to do this anymore. I wasn't being forced. It wasn't like, get your colon removed or eat this way. That's how it felt when I was in my young 20s. And then all of a sudden it changed to, this is the best investment I can make for the best life I want. And now, 37 years old, my second son will be born in about 35 days. My first son is 3.5 years old, no problems. I have no medications. I never got surgeries. I have no symptoms. I gained 65 pounds of weight. I was 122 pounds in a wheelchair at my lowest at 27. And I'm married, and I have tons of great hobbies. I feel empowered. And now I have the gift of doing what I love and I'm passionate about. And the worst thing that ever happened to me became the best thing. And I get to help people change their lives. And I'm doing it because I'm a guy who's been on the battlefield for years. I'm not the guy just sitting up in an ivory tower talking about it. I'm the guy who's been on the field, fighting for my life, helping other people fight for their lives, and finding real solutions. And it's not easy. It's not perfect. It's not simple. It's definitely not generic. Everyone's plan has to be customized to them.
Yeah.
But it is possible.
Guys, I just want to interrupt for just a second, and I want you to hear Paul Saladino talk about why liver is so important. And if you don't like liver, we have another option for you.
Your ancestors were eating liver. And the reason that this sort of wisdom has been passed down is because liver is very nutritious. It's basically nature's multivitamin. If you look at the nutrients in meat, they're great. You've got zinc, you got B6, you got B12, you got some K2. But if you look at liver, it really complements what's in muscle meat. And there are many unique nutrients found in organs, specifically liver as a powerhouse of these, that are difficult to obtain outside of liver. Like meat and organs are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're supposed to be eaten together. The easiest way to eat liver is just to do it raw. If you don't want to eat liver raw, you can cook it. But the reason that I like to do it raw is because there are unique nutrients in liver that are probably somewhat degraded when you cook the liver.
This really is like the most nutrient-rich supplements that you can find, and they are amazing. I have tried them. I absolutely love them. So just go to heartandsoil.co, use the coupon code Chantel Ray, and save you some money there. Well, for those people who aren't familiar with what Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis are, like for me, if I was going to describe it, it's basically a disease that inflames the lining of your GI or your gastrointestinal tract. And it literally disrupts your ability to, number one, digest food, number two, to absorb any of the nutrition value, and it really disrupts your ability to eliminate waste in a healthy way. So I want you to describe a little bit of kind of some of the symptoms. Like if someone's listening to this and they go, okay, do I have Crohn's? Do I have ulcerative colitis? Do I have IBD? You know, what are some of the symptoms that they are going to experience?
Well, because the doctors are uncertain of this, everyone's looking for this singular root cause. It's this bacteria, or it's this one thing, and it's actually many things that are inflaming the gut. And you're right, inflammatory bowel disease can cause anything from constipation to chronic diarrhea, blood in the stool, high calprotectin. If you go to the doctor, you do a stool analysis, and you see very elevated calprotectin, 300, 1,000, 2,000, mine was 3,000, 4,000. I had one professional athlete came at 20,000 calprotectin. Those are usual signs that you're dealing with some form of IBD. If you're getting diarrhea and or constipation or even pain, but that calprotectin's normal, or what's called your eosinophil activation protein, which is in a comprehensive stool analysis, if those are high, that's a sign that there is chronic inflammation. So you want to check your inflammatory markers. The doctor's are going to want to do a colonoscopy or a sigmoidoscopy or an endoscopy to check. That's usually where people get diagnosed. That's how I got diagnosed. Symptoms, so for ulcerative colitis, which is more inflammation of the colon, and that's the most dangerous, because when the colon is inflamed, you can't, you get lots of bleeding, so you get anemic, you can't properly absorb electrolytes or water, you can't properly defecate, as you said, so people will go anywhere from 5 times a day to 25 times a day. That's very common. Crohn's disease is a little bit more masked, where if you have, commonly, Crohn's can be the colon and the small intestine and the stomach. But a lot of Crohn's tends to be the ileum, tends to be a problem. And that part of the small intestine will get inflamed where you'll have low energy and you'll get maybe a lot of pain, sometimes severe cramping and sometimes constipation. But you don't tend to get as many of the terrible, toilet incidences that people hear about, the urgency, the loss of control of bowel movements, the blood. So a lot of people can have a perfectly working colon, but the midsection of the GI tract of the 28 feet in the ileum or even the duodenum, that can cause problems where it's a little bit more hidden. So we have some members who go to the bathroom 0 to 3 times a day with Crohn's disease, but they're in severe pain, no energy, not absorbing. They still have malnutrition issues. So it can go both ways. There's a lot of people who are undiagnosed who are listening right now going, I've got stomach issues, but the doctors can't figure it out. And, it's not fun to get a diagnosis, to get stamped on the forehead with something. So sometimes I always say, if you are undiagnosed, just start doing the natural medicine, start getting in a community, in a program that's going to teach you about gut health. Because what I'm going to do with someone who's undiagnosed, I've worked with plenty of people undiagnosed with severe issues, and what I'm going to do with someone diagnosed are very similar. Because I'm just looking for root issues. And like you said, I'm looking to optimize the digestion. I'm looking to heal up the gut lining, mucosal membrane, the epithelial cell lining. I'm trying to balance the microbiome. I'm trying to find and treat root infections, parasites, viruses, fungi, mold, candida. I'm looking to get rid of H. pylori, bacteria overgrowth, fungal overgrowth, biofilms, heavy metals, So those types of things. I'm looking to clean up the liver, gallbladder, lymphatic system. I can't tell you how many people are doing every proper diet. People are saying, listen, Dane, I've listened to everything. I've done every diet. I've done every supplement, but your liver's backed up. Your gallbladder's not working properly. You have no bile production. That's why you can't break down fats and the gas and bloating so bad. I had one woman, she's a registered nurse. She had been trying to heal herself of ulcerative colitis for 15 years. She got the program 3 months later, symptom-free for the first time ever. She had never worked on her liver, and we even asked her in her testimony, said, what was the big thing? She was like, man, when I did those castor oil packs, when I did my N-acetylcysteine, when I worked on bile production, right? When I did those things, it just completely changed the game for me. Because your hydrochloric acid and your pancreas, they need support. That duodenum needs all that bile and those pancreatic enzymes to break down that food properly. You're going to get a cascade effect downstream. So that's the thing, whether you're diagnosed, whether our medical professionals are stamping us with this identity or not stamping us, either way, you got to fix these issues. It's an engine. It's a moving generator, and everything affects upstream and downstream. So whatever you've been diagnosed with, I'm looking at how much hydrochloric acid or stomach acid do you have going on? How well is your pancreas doing? Are you getting enough bile production? How's your liver doing? How's your lymphatic system doing? Are you properly eliminating toxins? Are you using binders? If you've been sick for 10, 15, 20 years, well, guess what? You probably have extreme biofilm buildup. Okay.
And that's where parasites hide is in that biofilm as well.
Bingo. And they tend to live in the small intestine. And guess what? And when you do a stool analysis, it's going to predominantly check the large intestine, and the small intestine is not going to show up as much. So I find a lot of times we're not seeing, that's why SIBO is so hard to find. That's why H. pylori also can be underlying hard to find, also lives in high levels of biofilms, and parasites. And parasites can be in your liver, they can be in your gallbladder too. They can go from organ to organ. And they can live up to, I think, 28, 30 years. Some of these parasites, maybe even longer, can live in your body. I mean, one of our members, he had Crohn's disease, 2 feet of his ileum removed when he was 24. He started work with me when he was 50. Okay? So we're talking 26 years later. Hires me, goes, I've already had surgery. I've been like this for 30 years. What can we do? We get great results, but even years later, we do a parasite cleanse on him, right? He's been with me for years. And he's pooping out worms on worms on worms. And we found high levels of glyphosate. He worked on a farm, right? And so a lot of farm animals, we see the rivers and the farm animals, a lot of times you're seeing more parasite load. And that was one of his huge core issues. Also, we found tons of glyphosate in his body. We found tons of candida, yeast, and mold in his body. And his body had a severe reaction trying to get rid of that. You got to be careful. So
yeah, that's why you really need someone to do it with you, because like I said, what happens is a lot of these different cleanses that people try to do, you need someone to help you to titrate up and titrate down, because if you try to kill the parasites or kill the mold or kill anything too quickly, you end up being on the floor because you're so sick from the die-off effect from like the parasites and so forth.
Yeah, you got it. You don't poke the bear. You got to know what you're doing. And if you poke the bear wrong, you're going to end up in a bad spot, and it's not easy to get out of. So because those biofilms, when you open those up, your immune system is going to be aware of all these new infections. The biofilms also hide infection from your immune system. So you could see a lot more T cell activation on releasing it. I never do biofilm busters in the beginning. I've had a lot of members come in and they'd work with an ND or someone, and then they put them on something like biocidin, or they put them on some kind of parasite cleanse, anti-biofilm parasite cleanse, and they got a lot worse right in the beginning. Had to go on higher doses of prednisone or whatever, and they just didn't do it right. Do not consider biofilm busters if you do not have high levels of a variety of binders and you have not worked on your detox pathways. Don't even consider it. You might even feel better. I mean, one of my other clients right now, she's been diagnosed UC 20 years, and we within 6 weeks, she was doing so well, and we're talking about biofilm busters because she's been sick for so long. And we're just going, wait, hold the phone. You haven't felt this good ever. Why don't we just let it marinate a little bit? Do a little bit more lab work. Enjoy having energy again. Enjoy using the bathroom once or twice a day. Enjoy being able to eat all these foods. And so, that's a home run. I can give you highlights like Sammy Sosa, but you don't hit a grand slam every moment. Some cases are harder than others, and it's going to take a lot of hard work, and there's no magic pill. And the thing I want to say today is get empowered. As we talk about some of these stuff today, learn, take notes, get a part of a community, get a coach, Start getting empowered. It's one of the best investments you can make for you and your family for the next 40 years. You know, one of the worst things for me is when I was at all those hospitals and I was dying and I was seeing different NDs and DOs and MDs and whatever label you want to give them, I wasn't learning anything. I was too young and scared and upset and angry and too much of a victim to take responsibility for learning what these other specialists were doing. It was like, great, okay, tell me what to eat and tell me what to take, and it better work. That was it. I wasn't training myself. And then a lot of times, the doctors and NDs, they weren't training me. You know, I go into an MD, he would look at my labs and go, all right. It wouldn't even tell me, oh, this is this or this. Same with my ND. My ND wouldn't also break them down. A lot of times we don't expect, but you got to learn the simple, basic layman terms of your labs. You got to ask, why am I taking this supplement? If you don't know why you're taking something, figure it out right now. Pause this podcast for a second, get all the supplements, write down their names, and go research them. I want 2 to 3 sentences on what it does and why you're taking it. Anyone in our program, you are asked to know what you're doing and why. You need to be the partner of your coach, not just someone who's just blindly doing things.
I don't know about you guys, but I am stressed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, then I get it. With all the family get-togethers, it is just a relentless source of stress. But anyway, there is something that I've got called Stress Guardian, and it's actually made by Bioptimizers, the people who make the magnesium breakthrough, which I love, love, love. But anyway, they are literally made this new product. It has 14 adaptogenic herbs, and it just regulates your stress. I just actually took some right this second, and it's awesome. If you go to stressguardian.com/wasteaway and put in waste away for 10% off your first order, it's stressguardian.com/wasteaway. Go there now. I have some questions from some listeners, but they're really long, so I'm going to just condense it. One person says that they're having major pains in their side, and they think in the left side of the abdomen, a couple inches away from their belly button, kind of diagonally up. Is that a sign of ulcerative colitis, where someone could have that kind of stabbing or burning sensation with severe cramping? Would that be something that could that just be gas, or could that just be ulcerative colitis?
I wouldn't put it in your head that it's a chronic disease, because that's a really dangerous and anxious place to say, oh, I think it's ulcerative colitis. Cramping and pain, that can be caused by gas. If it's just left of the belly button, that could be the small intestine. Ulcerative colitis is going to be mostly that colon. So a bit lower down near the hip area is where your sigmoid colon is. If it's right around that belly button, that's probably something going on with the small intestine, which is less likely to be ulcerative colitis. But another thing you can do if you don't want to do an invasive colonoscopy is do a CT scan. You got to drink some nasty liquid. It's not the best for you, but it can be a lot less dangerous than going under and doing a full colonoscopy, especially if you're worried about
that's the thing for me is it's funny because I personally had gone to the doctor, and he was like, you need to get a colonoscopy. It's that time, blah, blah, blah. And my dad is actually an internal medicine doctor. And he says that people don't realize that there's a lot. I think it's like 4 in 1,000 or something like that. 4 out of every 1,000 people get their colon punctured from doing a colonoscopy. Yeah. And I personally know myself 3 people who have had their colons punctured. So for me, I'm like, I don't care. I'm not doing a colonoscopy. I don't care. You could die. I literally told the guy, I was like, he was just going on, and you need a colonoscopy. I said, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not getting it. Okay. For me, the risk reward, I get it. I'm not going to be doing a punctured colon. Thank you. I'm not doing it.
Perforation's a real thing. You're right. It is real. And especially if you're inflamed. I think it's a lot more dangerous for someone who's in a severe rupture.
Yes.
Okay. So if you've gotten a colon that is severely inflamed, that's the time where perforation's more of a problem. We have 2 members who had that exact thing. They had to have emergency surgery after a perforation from a colonoscopy. So it can happen. And also you can have problems from the anesthesia. You also, who does a great job of this? Look at everyone who's interested in the colonoscopies, Type in Google Dr. McCullough colonoscopies. He's going to write a blog on why he doesn't get colonoscopies himself, but he's also going to tell you about other types of non-invasive labs you can do. And he's going to tell you about, if you want to do them, you need to call beforehand and make sure they're using a specific type of cleaning agent on the instruments, which has less damage to the microbiome in the colon. So, and I know that Jeannie Patel Thompson, if you go to listentoyourgut.com, and you go to her blog, she's going to have some really good breakdowns on the pros and cons of colonoscopies. If you're going to get one, you want to be on high-dose probiotics orally. I'd also recommend retention enema. And you want to make sure that everything's calm. I think there's so much we can do before doing a colonoscopy. I still say at the end of the day, it's good to get one, but I think we're vastly undermining how we can do it in a safer way. Well, my recommendation...
So what are the alternatives? If someone says, no, I definitely won't get a colonoscopy, what would you say the alternatives are?
Well, first, we're just going to want to check non-invasive stuff. So I'm going to want to see blood, urine, and stool. Okay, so what's going on there? Is your calprotectin normal? Is your EAP normal? How's your digestion doing? Are we seeing signs of elevated inflammation like SED rate, CRP? You can even do a Sears test, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. Just continue to do a host of lab work. Do you have active viruses? Like we do viruses with Dr. Arman in Germany. He made us a custom plan just for colon or GI inflammation, where there are certain types of enteroviruses and enterobacteria linked with IBD. So like when I checked, I had massive CMV. That's what nearly killed me, was cytomegalovirus. And so when I checked with him, I had 5-6 times the threshold of CMV. And then I ran a natural plan using Tacunia, Hatunia, lysine, monolaurin, antiviral protocol, rechecked. Virus is completely wiped from my bloodstream, all natural. So there's like, you've got to do an array of lab work and find those root issues. Like, is mold a problem? So that's one of the things in the program, is you want to be in a program that has access to labs. Ours, we can do labs around the world. I can do a stool analysis in Dubai, Africa, India, all over Northern Europe. It's just, types of systems I've been working for 10 years to build. I'm very proud of it. So I'm going to want to do non-invasive labs for you. Second thing is a CT scan. Some PCPs and GIs are poo-poo it, but I've had someone show that the Crohn's disease is gone just through a CT scan. So if I have upper GI issues specifically, that CT scan can see inflammation. It can see ulcers. It can see thickening of the lining. It can tell you how the ileum's doing, or the duodenum's doing, or different parts, the stomach lining's doing.
Let's talk about that, because one of the things that I'm concerned about, and I am a way more a proponent of doing the CT scan, but they have you drink this liquid with the contrast. And my doctor said, he's like, now, if you decide to do that, he's like, we actually have to do tests for your kidneys. He said, because the stuff that we're giving you is so toxic and so poisonous that if your kidneys are not in tip top shape, we cannot give it to you. So first we need you to go do a blood test for the kidneys. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, and it's unfortunately all this type of stuff. There's potential risk with CTs, colonoscopies, and you can go the Dr. McCullough route or the Jeannie Patel route and say, I'm just never going to do this. I'm just going to stay clear, and I'm going to do some, and I'm just going to continue to eat right and focus and look at my non-invasive stuff as long as I have no symptoms. I mean, and GI doctors are all different. We have some GI doctors that work with our members who say, look, if your calprotectin's normal and you have 0 symptoms, then there's no need to do a colonoscopy right now. Now colonoscopies don't reduce the chance of dying of cancer. They just reduce the chance of you being diagnosed with cancer, because they're going in there and trying to clip off polyps and things like that. Okay, but if you get cancer, colonoscopy is not going to do anything for you. It's worthless. Okay, it's premeditative. It's, hey, we saw 4 or 5 polyps, we're going to get rid of those. But, one of our coaches, has had polyps for 10, 15 years and had them removed so many times, it's causing a bunch of scar tissue in her colon. It's affecting absorption in the health of her colon. And that might lead to her having to get a surgery to remove part of her colon anyways because of all the surgeries. Because removing a polyp is a form of a surgery. And it's invasive and it's damaging to the microbiome. And you can get an infection. You think there's 100% no risk in getting an infection from a colonoscopy? No, they're putting those instruments up with no condom. It's called a sheath. In America, we use no sheaths. So that instrument's going up multiple rectums of different people, it's just being sanitized with an antibiotic, which the antibiotic, some of the stuff they're using can actually cause colitis. So you got to be really careful with this. I think certain countries are using disposable instruments and using sheaths. So technology is moving around that, but not as quickly as I'd like. And if you don't have Crohn's colitis, I mean, there's other ways to check for cancer. You can do the Cologuard test, which is a stool analysis. It has a little bit higher ranges of a false positive, but it's a stool test. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell anyone who's considered that, is do the non-invasive test, get your calprotectin checked, do a comprehensive stool analysis, do some urine, do some blood, do an array, maybe consider a CT scan. I would say a CT scan is going to be safer than a colonoscopy. And then if everything's good, I like to do a colonoscopy if I believe it can come back normal. I'm not a fan of doing a colonoscopy knowing that it's already inflamed or injured, because if it's a problem, all they're going to be able to do, the only thing is they could remove the polyps or just check to see if they see a tumor or something of that nature, or check for dysplasia, right? They can take a sample. So, that's how I see those. But you really want to come in and do the work, because if you believe in natural medicine, you listen to this podcast, at the end of the day, if you get a bad colonoscopy, what are you going to do about it? You're going to come back here and you're going to start running protocol, and you're going to start doing alternative therapies and natural medicine. So do it now. Do it now, act now.
The one person that can really actually heal you, obviously, number one is God.
Yes.
But number two is you getting the knowledge that you need. And that's why I appreciate what you're doing so much, is because you're giving people the knowledge, and then they are themselves kind of being their own natural medicine and functional medicine doctor. Because that's really that's why I created this podcast, is because I wanted to impart this kind of knowledge where you're learning this, and then you can be knowledgeable about what is actually going on with you. One of the things that you talked about that I loved is you talked about the fact that your liver, so many people's liver right now are toxic. And I want you to give just a couple of tips. I know you said the castor oil packs. I do the castor oil pack every single night. And if you guys want, go to chantelrayway.com/castor oil. I actually teach you exactly how to do it. My son actually does it as well. And he shows you where to put it and how you can use heating pads to kind of put on top of it to make them even more beneficial. But give us some tips of some of the things that really have helped give them a tasting of what you teach about the liver.
Okay. So the liver, a backed up liver that's not properly flushing toxins, is highly connected to T-cell activation or autoimmune reaction. So if you're dealing with arthritis, low energy, brain fog, if you're dealing with skin reactions, chronic acne, if you're dealing with even bowels that are not, constipation, you've got to look at the liver. Now, the liver and gallbladder. The liver is going to be the main proponent of making glutathione. Glutathione is how your body cleans itself up. It's the most powerful antioxidant in the body that it needs. And so a lot of times what we breathe, what we drink, environmental toxins, what we're eating, those are all putting weight on the liver to be able to clean out. If you have a leaky gut and you're eating foods that you're sensitive to, that's also going to put more pressure on that liver. So we're not taking care of it enough. And one of the cheapest, most cost-effective, and most powerful ways to help is going to be castor oil packs. You can put them on. I'd start with 20 minutes and then slowly work up. A lot of my members will work up to wearing one through the night in a bad situation. Then I'm a big fan of NAC. N-acetyl cysteine. N-acetyl means precursor. Cysteine is an amino acid. NAC is a precursor to glutathione. The liver uses to clean itself. So that's going to be wonderful. For my advanced people who are going, yeah, Dane, I know this stuff, then you want to look at TUDCA enemas, and you want to look at coffee enemas are also going to be really good on top of that. And then you can those are going to help with like more liver flushes by activating the hepatic portal vein. So you've got to support your drainage pathways. How your body releases toxins is very important to release, to take load off your body. That's going to help your immune system be more balanced, to modulate the immune system. So ways that your body releases is going to be through breath. Sweat is a big one. If you don't sweat, I'm already thinking you're toxic. If you're one of those people who goes, oh, I never sweat. I go for walks. I never sweat. And big red flag. Got to get you sweating immediately. Get a sauna. Get a sauna bag that's cost effective. Or if you want to pony up, I bought it cost me like $6,000 for a sauna in my garage. I've had it for 3 years, but I get in there. It's in my garage. I go in. I do it for 30, 40 minutes. I read a book. I can answer emails. I go up, take a shower. It's just so quick. I mean, how many times I've used it, I've definitely made my money back from what it would cost me to go and have a membership somewhere. So I love my sauna. I'm a big sauna guy. So you got to sweat. You got to work on the liver. You got to work on the gallbladder. The sweating is also going to help not only release heavy metals and mycotoxins through the skin, it's also going to help to engage the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is how your body, one of the best ways your body moves toxins as well. Exercise is going to be great for that. Running is going to be great for that. Trampolines are going to be great for that as well. You can also get a lymphatic massage, which moves things. So all of that's really connected, like how you support kidneys, the livers, the gallbladder, the pancreatic. They're all supporting your body's ability to release toxins, which is probably going to do wonders if you're dealing with constipation, is I'm always looking there. Like I've had members who do castor oil packs and their constipation goes away. I've had other members who just need more binders. I mean, one thing besides just helping the liver flush is also helping the gut flush. So binders are going to be really good for that too. So I'm a big fan of mixing binders. I love Cellcore binders. They've got biotoxin binders, so fulvic acid, humic acid. I think Biobotanical Research has a wonderful binder. If you're dealing with constipation, be a little bit more careful with that activated charcoal. But the GI Detox has your apple pectin. It has your fulvic acid, humic acids, zeolite clay, and activated charcoal. And that one's wonderful. I tend to mix them. So me personally, right now, when I came off my parasite cleanse, I was doing bentonite clay, GI Detox plus Virad Chem by Cellcore. And I do all three of those binders. And I find that binders are a wonderful way to get stuff out of your gut. If your gut lining is inflamed, you're seeing elevated interleukin 18, TNF alpha, IL-1 beta, you're seeing high calprotectin. You got to clean that thing. It's not just kill that thing. You got to have your SWAT team, but you got to also have your street sweepers, okay? You got to clear. And if you're getting these tiny little skinny bowel movements, nothing's really coming out or a little sediment, you're not clearing. That stuff's staying in there and it's creating a toxic colon. So we got to get that flow moving, right? It's an engine. And that's one of the things when you were asking, Dane, what about this identity of Crohn's colitis? That's going to cause so much trauma in your life. You know how hard it was for me to release the trauma that I'm a sick person who's going to be dying of an incurable disease. You got to take back your safety. And one of those things is to release this idea of like you identify as a sick person. I don't identify as a sick person anymore. I know that I have a sensitive stomach and I'm prone to a immune system reaction. That's how I really had to see myself now. So once you start learning about, oh, my digestion's low. Oh, I'm not releasing toxins well enough. Oh, my colon's not releasing these bowel movements well enough. Oh, my gut lining's not strong enough. My mucosal membrane's thinned out. My epithelial cell lining keeps getting re-inflamed or injured from glyphosate or gliadin found in gluten. I mean, so that's the thing. And when you said earlier about getting a coach and a team, you want to get empowered. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I spent so much money with these huge NDs and different people is I was just looking for someone to tell me the answer. And that's important. But over 10 years or 20 years, you have to become the answer. That's what's going to protect you. That's what's going to protect your children. Get trained. Get a Mr. Miyagi. Like, don't just do what you're told. Practice the movements. Learn what to do. I always like to tell my clients, especially long-term members, I say, when you can heal you better than I can heal you, when you can make your decisions confidently, then I know I've done my job. So when you're choosing someone to partner with, and if you have Crohn's, colitis, or IBD and you want to work with us, I am excited to work with you. I'm excited to get you massive results, but make sure wherever you work with, you have trust and integrity. There's things you're going to need, not just being coached. Okay, like everyone in our program gets a one-on-one coach. We think that's important. It makes our company not scalable, but it makes it very impactful. And I'll take impact over scalability. So it's make sure you got that. But two is access. People don't realize when I really got into natural medicine, where am I going to get my labs done? Then these labs are expensive. Good labs, insurance covers Walmart testing. Okay, you want good labs? They're expensive. You need a place that can get you access to labs. You need a place where you have access to community. If I'm stuck in a room, I want to be stuck with 100 people, not by myself. Hey, yeah. Hey, how's it going on the West Wing? How you doing over there? What'd you realize? You get that pick open? What are you using? What do you got over there? What are your tools? Oh, here's my tools. Oh, what results you got? Hey, what results you got? And these are my results. Our community is free governing. You can come in and talk to everyone in the program. So if it's like this is a scam and a hack,
ask them things like, like someone might, like you talked about the TUDCA enemas. I've been doing a lot of coffee enemas lately. I've been doing a ton of them. but they are a lot of work, and doing the Tudga enemas are a lot easier because you can, empty like one capsule of the advanced Tudga in like a cup of water, and it's like it's a production.
Yeah. And it might be lighter. The bile salt, Tudga is a bile salt that helps to help the bile ducts loosen up, and it also helps the liver gallbladder produce more bile production. Your liver needs bile to flush toxins. So Tudga is one of the best bile salts I've seen to do it. I love Tudga. I'm getting wonderful results. You have to work up to it. You might herx a little bit on it, but it's fantastic to flush. And so this is all knowledge and community. Like, imagine we all
I want to hear about the parasite cleanse that you just finished.
Yeah. So, and I had, I'm still learning, guys. I've been doing this for 15 or 16 years. So if you're going, man, this guy knows a lot, or, oh, he's done so much, I could never do this. I was a kid eating Papa John's pizza from Virginia in the middle of nowhere, had no desire for natural medicine. It's one day at a time. It's a willingness to try. It's a willingness to read. It's a willingness to connect. It's a willingness to just step forward in the fog. And I just made it my career. Because I woke up one day, I got rid of my symptoms. I was a young cat, and every big doctor, big hospital said what I did was impossible. So don't get overwhelmed by all this stuff. And I'm sure some of you are Jedi and some of you are new. So I said that to my newbies. So my Jedis, we want to talk black belt status. Parasite cleanse, you got to be ready for. Don't start with it. I'm going to start by doing stool analysis. I'm going to check for stuff I can find, because if my GI map can find it, or any kind of comprehensive stool analysis can find it, it's probably not a biofilm problem yet. So I want to treat that. If I find 3x threshold of Candida, I'm treating that first. I'm going to try to work you up on oregano or colloidal silver or berberine or sweet wormwood. I'm going to work you up on some stuff and make sure you can tolerate. I'm going to double down on all your drainage pathways and stuff. So then when I get into parasites, I've seen people literally change their life with parasite cleanses. They couldn't gain weight, gained 25 pounds, chronically sick, only eating 8 foods for 8 years, allergic to everything, completely changed their lives. There's one trainer that I work with, and he was miraculous what he did. 20 bowel movements a day, blood, would work with his ND for 3 years, completely stuck, allergic to BPC 157, allergic to glutamine, allergic to marshmallow root. He could do anything. And we got him symptom-free down to 1 to 2 normal bowel movements a day, calprotectin from 3,000 down to 30 using a parasite cleanse. So with parasite cleanse, I like Cellcore. I'm a fan. I know everyone's a little different on it, but I like Cellcore's plan. I think Cellcore's beginner dosage is way too high, though. If you got autoimmune and you're doing 2 caps twice a day of Para 1, Para 2, plus 10 drops 3 times a day of Para 3, yeah, right. I'm going to start you on one cap, maybe, of Para 1, Para 2 once a day, maybe, while I've got you on the binders, while I've got you on the liver gallbladder. So I think you got to go way slow. Take your time. I think doing a parasite cleanse in 2 months, 3 months is not a good idea. I would slowly work on it for at least 4 months. Like, take a month at very low dose, maybe even pulse it. I love pulsing with people who've been through a lot, especially when you're talking about releasing biofilms. So pulse, 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 2 days off. Kind of play with it, nice and easy. Just get some experience. See how that Mimosa pudica is treating you, okay? And so with that, one guy I was talking to you about, Danny. Shout out to Danny if he hears this. What's up, buddy? Danny, we just used Para 1, Para 2. He couldn't do Para 3 because I think it had ethanol or a few things he was allergic to. I think it also has a nut, where my other clients was allergic to nuts, so he couldn't do Para 3. But just Para 1, Para 2, one cap we did for him. He was on it for like 7 months, by the way. 7 months straight, every day, Para 1, Para 2. And he just went 18 bowel movements, 14 bowel movements, 10 bowel movements, 3 bowel movements, 2 bowel movements, calprotectin down to 3, gained 10 pounds, symptoms went away. Like, it was wonderful. And he started being able to eat more foods. Now he's eating 15 foods, 25 foods, 35 foods. So it's just been a blessing to see what that's done. And I've seen a few people do that. I think
what you just said there, because I'm a huge fan of Cellcore and I love their products, but I 100% agree. If you have autoimmune issues or if you have any other issues, you have to be able to titrate up and titrate down, and you need someone to help you understand how to titrate up and titrate down, because doing the original formula, 2 in the morning, 2 of this and 2 of that and 2 of the other every morning and every night, then you're on the floor because now your die-off is so bad.
Well, we had one woman, she's had 3 or 4 surgeries, diagnosed cancer, got Crohn's disease at 22. She's 68 years old right now, okay? 45 years of Crohn's disease with multiple surgeries and a cancer diagnosis. She every single day, when we put on the parasite cleanse a year into the program, she got great results. Symptoms went down. Every day she was pooping worms. Worms or mimosa pudica, whatever it is, right? She's pooping these long, nasty things. I'm talking hundreds of them. Hundreds. It was unbelievable how much was stuck in there. We find more parasites also people post-surgery. There's something about that scar and where the surgery is done that they tend to build up there, especially with Kathy with Crohn's disease. She had a lot of her small intestine removed. Same with John, Coach John, small intestine. So a lot of small intestine Crohn's, I'm thinking more parasite issues for sure. And they're really hard to find in stools. You can only take, it's like Lyme disease. You can only take it so seriously with lab work. But what happened is it released so much candida in her body. She started getting UTIs. She started getting oral thrush. I started getting oral thrush too. Candida was a big problem for me. So you got to be careful. You can release heavy metals. You can release fungus, mold, candida. You can release viruses. Okay, like if you have underlying Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, Coxsackie virus, herpes virus, all those things can be released because they live in those biofilms, especially been sick for 10 years, 5, 10, 20 years. You got to be careful of those. And it's the same thing with Biocidin, a wonderful product, but it's a biofilm buster. You got to know what you're doing. So, for me, I got up to 8 caps twice a day, a pair 1, pair 2, plus about 70 drops to 80 drops a day, a pair 3. So I went to it. Yeah, advanced. It took me about 6 or 7 months. But, one thing, and I'll say where I made a mistake, guys, and I think this is important for, leaders also to talk about their mistakes. I can do antipathogens like Skittles. I've been doing protocols for 10, 15 years. I'm really not scared of them anymore. Colloidal silver, high parts per million. I've just done so much. My body's so accustomed that I just really hadn't had much of a problem. When I started going on that parasite cleanse, it was like, whoa, this is something. I started seeing all these nasty things come out. It took me, I had to get up to like 2-3 caps for the stuff to start coming out. But I noticed, and I started noticing I was kind of stuck because as I started kind of come off, I was getting worse symptoms. So it's like, I have to stay on this. You've got to know what you're doing. So if looking back, I think I did a good job of how long it took me to get up there. I wanted to get to advanced dosages because I had members who wanted to get to advanced dosages, and I'm not going to recommend something I haven't done myself. So that was my big reason to want to get up to advanced dosages and do what Cellcore talked about, which was the highest dose they'll recommend is 8 caps twice a day of each, which is 32 caps a day. Very, very high. But you only do it for a very short period of time. And then I came off, and I've been off for a long time. I'm great. I have no problems now. Yeah.
Did you guys know that 97% of Americans are deficient in at least one mineral? It's true. And you need more than a dozen different minerals for your body to function its best. And it's almost impossible with our new American diet to get all the minerals you need. So that's why I love Bean Minerals. And this is the thing. It literally tastes like water. So all I do is I take an ounce of each, I throw it in here, and I'm not joking, there's no taste. So without a whole cabinet full of supplements, I just go, boom, it tastes like water, and it makes mineral balance simple. Go to chantelrayway.com/bean and get your huge discount code today on Bean Minerals. I will tell you one thing that a friend of mine did, and my husband did too. They did high doses of glutathione in the IV and also took liquid glutathione. And I'm telling you, there's not a lot of studies done on it, but I will tell you, taking glutathione, I am convinced helps remove parasites like crazy. Like my one friend, she's actually a functional medicine doctor. She said she did the glutathione IV and then took some glutathione. She said she was like, had worms coming out of her for days.
Was she also using like mimosa pudica? Because sometimes we get that twisty nature from the pudica that we think is worms, might not be worms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember her saying that.
Well, reduced glutathione is going to be very important. I think Quicksilver's got a wonderful reduced glutathione. And then Trifortify I also really like by Nutritional Research. But I think Chris Shade's glutathione is probably one of the best because it has a lot of other vitamins to support the detox pathways in it. I think it's called glutathione. If you go to Quicksilver Research, you can check them out. But I think you need a practitioner to order for you. But it's glutathione. It's like glutathione complex or glutathione supreme. It's not just independent reduced glutathione. It's a higher dose. I think it's 350 milligrams. And then liposomal, you're going to want to hold that under your tongue for 2 minutes. But yeah, big fan of it. I tend to just use glutathione makers like glycine and NAC and castor oil. I like to just support my body. Like I did an interview with
NAC is king, like you said.
NAC is great. It's also great for your lungs. There's so many things. But I did an interview with Dr. Zach Bush a while back, and we were talking about glutathione, and he said something I'll never forget. And he was saying the amount of glutathione your body will make when given a chance, when your liver's in a good place, when your microbiome's in a good place, is 10 times more than you could ever take in your body or what could even be utilized from a supplement. And I just thought, I was like, man, I just think he's like, if you ever listen to him, he sounds like Mozart of natural medicine. I mean, it's like a symphony of intelligence. I love listening to Zach Bush. But anyways, yeah, that's one of the things I've always found. But I have, especially if you're dealing with mold or other issues, glutathione's massive. But I mean, the kind of conversations we're having right now, are just so high end. We should all just pat ourselves in the back for what we're talking about and what we're doing, because this is never discussed. When in a hospital, when I was diagnosed with Crohn's colitis, years and years and years of going and meeting all these doctors, not once did we talk about any of these root issues. Not once did we talk about how to empower the body. It was, you've got this disease, food doesn't matter, there's nothing you can do about it. Take this steroid, take this methotrexate, take Remicade, and that's it, dude. And it's just like, look what's possible. Look what we're doing. And this is about the power of community. So access, not just knowledge. You need to be disciplined. So I want to also say the trifecta, like to get great results in this life, this is what you need. It's a triangle. You need a conventional doctor who's hip and open-minded, just open-minded. This is going to be the person who saves your life, okay? If it wasn't for prednisone, I'd be dead. Get someone on your board. Get a great conventional doctor who's just open-minded, willing to learn, willing to listen. Yeah, they're not going to tell you the perfect diet and tell you to do glutathione and all this. That's fine. You don't need them to do that. You just need them to save your life. If you're in a car accident, you need a surgery, you need prednisone, you need to deliver a baby. You just need to get that conventional and take care of them. Don't yell at them. Make peace. Then you need a functional medicine coach community, somewhere where you're learning like we're doing now. Okay, you need a place where you can get knowledge, you can get access, you can do labs, you can run protocol, you can see what other protocols other people are running. You need that access, that knowledge. And then the third thing a lot of people are missing is you need to become the CEO. You need to decide that you're going to drive this ship. You're going to decide where true north is. You're going to decide that your lifestyle, your core values, your priorities, because you are just going to dilute all your doctors and everyone on your team and who's helping you support this life you're building. If you are not accountable, you don't have high values, you don't have high standards for yourself, you're not disciplined, you're not organized, you're not taking notes, you're not journaling, because if I meet someone who does all that hard work, we're going to skip a lot of stuff and we're going to be able to go straight to Jedi mode. You need to get in there. You need to be organized. What are you taking? Why are you taking it? When are you taking it? Don't just throw it around. I see a lot of naturopath doctors doing this. They don't hold themselves accountable to what they hold their patients or clients accountable to. Meaning if I look at their own protocol, they're just, I take NAC one day, I don't take it the next day. I'm taking TUDCA, I'm not taking it. I'm taking a probiotic, I'm not. I had a little gluten, I'm not on gluten, I am on gluten. Sometimes even the practitioners, we lose sense of being organized. It's happened to me plenty of times where we get burnt out. So you've got to really simplify what am I doing and why, and then get it repeatable. Consistency is worth more than perfection. I know you're thinking you're trying to be perfect, getting everything in there. Nope. Perfection is not as valuable as consistency. Consistency is because as you want to get better and better, if you're getting lost, you need to understand the variables. Consistency makes variables more clear. Should I increase the parasite cleanse? Do I need to do more binders? Do I need the pulse? Do I need to take time off? Is this an emotional problem? Is it a vagal nerve issue? Do I need to engage my parasympathetic more? Maybe it's an environmental toxin. Maybe there's mold in the house. You've got to calm down your variables so you can look at things, and you need space to add something in. If I'm looking and I say I want to add a supplement in and you're already taking 50 caps a day, you're going to look at me and go, oh God, I can't handle another supplement. What do you take? What are you doing? The first thing I'm going to do is probably take off 30% of what you're taking because it's not as important. Why are you taking that multivitamin?
What you just said is so important, because here's what happens. Even me, right? Because I host so many shows and I have so many different people on. Yeah. And so your natural reaction, if you're listening to the show, is you have a new guest comes on and they go, oh, well, you have to have binders. You have to have activated charcoal. You have to have bentonite clay. You have to have chlorella. That's the most important. This one says you have to have NAC. This one says, this and that. And, it's got to be to TUDCA or whatever. Yeah. Then you start going. And then, so you start with that, then you hear another podcast, and then you go, okay, now I'm switching to this. Now you're listening to another one, and now you're switching to this. So that's actually a real big issue.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you have someone who's a coach that can help hold you accountable, that says, okay, for right now, this is what we're sticking with. These are the most important for the symptoms that you have.
100%. You got it. And see, that's why I say CEO. And think of it as a board members. If you got board members telling you, suggesting things, you've got to put that through a filtration. Yeah, that sounds great. No, I can give you 1,000 products that sound great. And honestly, part of you might be thinking, if I can reduce how many supplements I'm taking by 30% and I feel just as good, is that you being more healed? If I have to take 30% less and my symptoms, my lab work is just as good, would we consider that more healed? Yeah. Would you feel safer? Because now we can move into the emotional side of it. You can't heal unless you feel safe. It's impossible to be healed. If someone says, are you healed? What's happening is inside, you're really asking yourself, do I feel safe in my body? And the lack of safety is driving, continuing to jump from one supplement to the next, to the next, to the next, from one protocol to the next, to the next, to the next, one famous diet to the next, to the next, and the next. It's a lack of safety, a lack of certainty. You have to stop that vicious cycle. And you got to start trusting that your body was meant to be healthy. What am I doing and why? What is the core? What is the number one thing I need to treat right now? And when I simplify that, man, I see great results. I got one client, she's been on everything. She's listened to everybody. And we constantly are trying to figure out, what do we need to take out and why? Let's cut it. What are we taking out and why? What are we taking out? And she's arguing with me on what she needs. She's like, no, I need it. I'm like, okay, you can keep it.
Well, I also like that you have group classes as well as the one-on-one, because I think in small groups, you actually learn a lot. Like I'm in a small group Bible study, and I feel like the part that I learned the most from is when, this one's saying, this is how this scripture spoke to me, and this is saying, this is how it spoke to me, and hearing it from other people is powerful as well.
I ran groups, and we've had to ice groups for a hot second because we just don't have space, because we, like all of our coaches, we've actually reduced how many clients we can take on because our coaches were just getting burnt out. They had so many people who've been joining our program, and because we get great results, we have high integrity. A lot of people talk about us. I'm not just saying that. I know a lot of people are marketing and selling everything. That's part of business, but we really do our very best to work with you and do high level stuff. But we can't. We have 1,000 members, and I got 6 coaches. Mm-hmm. And you have a lifetime membership. And I did groups every week for 3 years myself. Every Tuesday, every Wednesday, I met with 6 people, and I worked on healing 6 people at once, every week, twice a week, every week, twice a week. And I did a case study with one who was a firefighter yesterday. He's been with me for 2.5 years. He hasn't had a symptom in 1.5 years. His colonoscopy came back perfect. 18 months from his first colonoscopy, where it looked like a war zone, 18 months later, his colonoscopy came back perfect. They couldn't even find ulcerative colitis. You know what he was on? He was on low-dose naltrexone. He did a million things, but the only medications he was using, low-dose naltrexone, and every once in a while, a mesalamine enema. That's it. Perfect colonoscopy. And he's eating all sorts of food. He eats what he wants. Now, he eats clean. That's part of our emotional healing. He eats what he wants. We don't want the fear of being on a diet. There's a lot of stuff here, guys. So, that's more of language to free yourself emotionally. But you don't want to eat trash.
I tried the low-dose naltrexone, like the lowest.
1.5 or 7.5?
No, it was low. It was the lowest you could possibly get. And it made me just sick as a dog. Like
me too.
As a dog. I didn't
do well with it either.
Like growing up, I was just like not doing well. But I don't even take Tylenol. I'm one of those, like I don't take anything. So I have to be real careful with anything like that.
Yeah. And I didn't do well with it either, so I never took it. But I've seen some people get great results. It's also very cheap. I think he said he gets 3 months supply. He took the research to his GI doctor and said, this is why I want to be on it long term. And because they want him on biologics, they want to remove his colon. So we decided with him, he was like, I want something to continue to help. So I'll use mesalamine enemas every once in a while. We also do naturally made enemas as needed, or naturally made suppositories as well. But that was just his one unique study that we did that. He did really well with. He also did really well with something called liposomal phosphatidylcholine, and which has it's a whole another story. But again, it's about some of the things that I'm also going to say that you're going to want to get great results is your plan has to be customized to you. But you want to be around others and learn what they're doing. You know, how, like, it's like building a family or raising kids or getting married is a custom experience. But we learn from each other. We sit down at dinner and say, what helps for your marriage? What helps for your children? Where do you want to live? You want to live in California? You want to live in Texas? You want to live in New York? Why? What are the pros and cons? So we just look at each other's unique experiences and we learn, but we always keep our unique experience. It's the exact same thing in health and food. So we need to stop judging and arguing, and we need to start just opening our ears. As God says, listen twice as much as you speak, and I can't remember what verse that was, but church had said it the other day. I thought it was really, really smart. And so just listen and learn and stop judging. Is it plants? Is it meat? Stop, whatever. Just listen. And just listen and listen to your body and continue to make it customized. You're going to want a place where you can have access to a private coach. Coaching can be expensive, and if you're on a budget, I totally get that. But a community, at least have a coach. When you come into our Shield program, and if we're a good fit for you, you get 3 months of coaching included. So if we've proven ourselves and you feel like you need more coaching, you can get more coaching. But that's something that we think is really important to get trained. Because if you're just watching videos and reading books, it's very overwhelming and very tough. And it doesn't really teach you how to think and how to process and how to choose for yourself and get rid of the trauma. I think another big one is emotional healing. I slept on that. I wanted the math, right? What supplement's going to give me this result? What diet's going to give me this result? But you got to work on releasing the trauma of being a sick person. And you got to allow, what does it look like? What does it feel like to feel safe again? Just to wake up and feel safe and not be so anal about looking at every single stool and being okay if your lab work looks a little off. It's just a snapshot. And just not feeling so scared of food fear. How many of us are still scared of food? We live in this pride that we eat so clean, but at the end of the day, we're actually terrified of the food. And so I had to take my power back to feel safe with salads, feel safe with grains, feel safe with beans and seeds.
Did you guys know that your thyroid's main food is iodine? And guess what? Mercury gobbles up your selenium, and your thyroid glands need selenium to convert iodine into thyroxine. So here's the bottom line. I take this Peak Thyroid. It's got selenium, it's got iodine, it's got zinc, it's got copper, and it's got selenium. Everything you need to get your thyroid back to functioning without medicine. Go to chantelrayway.com/upgraded formulas. Use the code ChantelRay to get your huge discount. I want you to just say, before we end, what does a day in the life of Dane Johnson look like? Like, what are you eating these days? Like, is there things you go, I eat kind of like red, yellow, and green foods. Like, these are green foods. I eat them all the time. Yellow is like, I might have it like once in a while. Red is like, absolutely not. I'm never touching that. And what are some of the kind of daily routines that you go, I'm definitely not missing?
Okay, I want to swing a little different at this, guys. I know everyone's itching for me to give you the perfect foods. I want to swing a little different. I try to eat like my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather didn't know anything about organic and bell peppers versus zucchini versus beans. I don't want to have trauma over food. I eat from the earth. I don't like processed foods. I call it poison. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. But I have released the desire to poison myself. So what if I can identify, I call it food philosophy. I identify the risk of food. I identify how it's prepared, what kind of oil it's cooked in, where it's from, what kind of chemicals they're using. I can read ingredients. So I just eat from the earth. 75% of what I eat is home cooked. I never cheat. I only celebrate. I never cheat. Think about it. What were you doing for New Year's, prom night, your sweet 16 birthday? You were drinking crap and eating crap, and that's how we celebrate in our Western civilization. So if you want to eat crap, make it a celebration. Don't cheat. That's trauma. Okay, now I say that is I change it up. I've gone weeks and months eating 75% plants. I've gone also predominantly carnivore. I've had lots of bone broth. I've done every diet, first of all. So now how do I like to eat? I do really well with all of it. I try to eat, really the thing I'm getting most interested in is trying to eat like a blue zone. a Blue Zone Centurion. Like I switched from my yellow sweet potatoes over to those purple potatoes just because I was like, oh, I haven't had these and they're tasty and they're a little thicker and they kind of fill me up. It's also things that make me feel good and safe and make me feel full. And if you look at the earth and how it provides for us, there's very little sugar. There's no processed food. There's no crappy seed oils. So an example, like for breakfast this morning, I had a local Zuki bread, which is made by a local woman who I really adore. And it's a gluten-free, yeast-free sourdough bread made with a probiotic starter. And it's very good. My body does very well with it. So I had that. I had 3 or 4 eggs with arugula. Arugula is one of my favorite greens. It's a great digestive bitter. It's low in plant defenses. So that's one of my favorites. Avocado also is one of my favorite greens too. High fat, high fiber, high protein. It helps you go to the bathroom better too. So I love avocado. Then I threw some Manuka honey on it. Manuka honey is also anti-H. pylori. I've had H. pylori problems in the past and I had gastritis, 10 years ago. I've always loved some Manuka honey. It's one of my favorite add-ons. Then I did a sprouted, stone grounded pistachio butter. What did you say?
Wow. I've never served that.
Here's crazy, guys. Like 50 to 60% of my food is from the internet. I don't even get it from the grocery stores anymore. So I order all my meats from Grassroots Farms. Shout out to them. I love them. I talk with them. And I know owners of companies. So I work with family-owned companies. Like all the supplements we use or affiliates, I know them. I'm like, hey, what's up? I know what their mission is. So Grassroots, I know them. So I get like last night we found a deal, and this was one of our goals for this year, was to hire a chef to come to our house to cook. Now she was $60 an hour, so it cost us $240 for her to cook about 15 meals worth. So when we did the math, it's like if you look at what we spend when we go out to dinner, it's way more than if I hire a chef, pay $240. She took a food processor, took organic grass beef from the farm, took organic grass burger from the farm, processed the liver and the beef together and made liver beef burgers with Himalayan salt. So that's what I had for dinner. I had that, and then she made some carrots and she made some honey mustard carrots and then Brussels sprouts. I used to do terrible Brussels sprouts. Once I fixed my digestion, my gut lining, I can handle Brussels sprouts. I can handle carrots. I can have salads. I can have raw foods now. I was living on congee and bone broth and freaking chicken with white rice for like 2 years. I couldn't eat anything. Massive bloating, massive gas, massive cystic acne, 12 bloody bowel movements a day. Told I got to get my colon removed. I could go eat a large Papa John's pizza with a 6-pack of beer and go run 6 miles and be fine. Why? Because my gut is strong, baby. I'm strong. You hear that? Proud. You got to fix the engine. It's not easy, but it's worth it. You want to feel good when you're 70? Do this. You want to get rid of that acne? Do this. You want to be in good shape? You want to have good libido? Do this. Like, you got to train yourself and get rid of it and have a moment of reflection. I'll tell you where I'm doing wrong, but I'll also tell you where I'm doing right. Now, how often do I have pizza? Never. My wife was saying, let's get a pizza. I'm starving, la, la, la. I was like, this is what I say verbatim. I don't want that trash in my body. I don't have yearnings for Skittles, Kit Kats, gummy bears, donuts, because I've released it from me. It has taken years. I was an addict. I released it. I desire food that empowers me, that enriches me, that makes me feel fulfilled and strong and good and clear. I want that. That's what I want. And yes, we can't cook all the time. That's why we decided to save some budget and figure out how to find a local chef. And she's a young girl who wants to be a chef, and we just worked it out, right? $240 for 15 meals. Do the math. Okay, we go out and spend $120 all the time. I don't really drink alcohol anymore. I don't really need it. Can I have it? Yes, but it's trash. See, I don't have a diet. I have a lifestyle that makes me happy and healthy. It's an emotional thing, guys. So much of this is the trauma. Okay, hypnotherapy is good for this. EFT is good for this. EMDR is good for this. So you got to continue just to decide, what reality do you want to create? Don't let your feelings dictate where you're going to go. Decide what you want and just keep repeating it. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel like it can't happen. But if you keep pushing against the grain, you're going to tell God, you're going to tell the universe that this is the way I'm going. And water is going to start bending that way for you. Energy, the law of attraction, it's going to start bending that way. So how did I go from a kid addicted to Papa John's pizza, gummy bears, and donuts, eating, Cheerios every morning with 2% milk, to the CEO of the world's most successful Crohn's colitis program, as far as I'm concerned, with over 500 testimonies reversing symptoms of people around the world? By the way, all of our testimonies, some people are like, oh, they got to be actors. No, of course they're not actors. What am I, actors? No, they're real people, and they had zero incentive to do their testimony. They just wanted to pay it forward because they actually got their life back.
Wow. I
Go
love
look, we post one once a week. Go to YouTube, go to Dane Johnson YouTube Shield Program. You're going to see testimony of testimony, people with this for 30 years. Kids, is it easy? No, it's really hard. It's really hard. This is what we're doing is not easy. And what you're trying to do is hard. Make space for that. Breathe with that. Walk in the morning to that truth. But anything worth having is hard. So is being married for 50 years. So is staying in great shape. So is saying no to stupid, crappy drugs and alcohol that ain't serving your purpose. So is saying no to, our selfish desires. Okay. We got to make things that are bigger than ourselves in life. We got to be a part of something bigger. The world is about everything serving each other. Humans need to serve the earth serves the people. It's got to be, you got to get rid of our selfishness. The things in life are about, if you think about like family, you think about what's my life worth? It's about having something bigger than yourself. And that's what you're doing is you're getting connected back to the earth and you're getting connected back to your human divineness. And that's why I say like, and this is what helped me with that emotionalness of getting rid of packaged food and the alcohol and going out and all this. Cause I was a college kid and that's all I did was drink and eat. And it was really hard for me is this idea that I just thought about my great grandparents. I said, what did they eat? First of all, they were sometimes great grandparents. We're talking about 1880. Okay. They could have been starving in the winter. What were they eating? What were they eating in Montana and Michigan? My grandparents are from Michigan. What were they eating? What were they eating in January? They were lucky to have food. They ate from a local farm. There was no drive-through. Now, here's a big question. Did my grandpa have less ability to be as happy as I do because I have certain things in this new technology in this world? Am I just a happier person? I might venture to say that my grandpa might have been more of a happier person than most people I know. It's a fake happiness. It's a convenience that doesn't even fulfill us. I call it the convenience tax. We get all these convenience things that actually just tax our health. Oh, that sliced ham? Tax. Oh, that drive-through? Tax. Oh, that instant microwave? Tax. Oh, that shot in the arm so you don't have to get the flu? Tax. All these conveniences are taxed. We got to get connected to the earth. And that's where, so I looked and I trained my mind to have a sense of excitement and pride about relearning myself and building. I mean, nowadays I like the idea of learning how to use my hands, not just buy something. It's harder, but I feel more fulfilled. That's the same thing in your health. It's harder to do it this way, but it's more fulfilling. And what is the investment of it? Long term, what's the investment? So you can see how my mind works. I'm just telling you how I've come up with my truth. Truth is just a perspective. So what perspective do you want to create? Is it a good day? Is it a bad day? Are you healthy or sick? It's all a perspective. So what perspective are you creating? I'm just giving you an inside look at how I decided to get rid of this idea that I need to have alcohol and I need to have shit food and sorry to curse, and I need to have all this other crap. And I just created a perspective that served me. And I created a perspective that connected me to the earth. And this is why I pay all these high taxes in Southern California, because I'm looking outside, I don't see a cloud and it's 70 degrees. I can make more money. I can't make more sunny days. So, but I hate taxes as much as everyone else, so this is just a little inside look, and I hope it serves you. And I hope this has helped been a life-changing moment for you. And if I can be a partner for you and you feel that there's integrity and trust here, I'll do everything in my power to help you get massive success and make it the best choice ever. But I would recommend get connected, get in a community, get in a program. And I think that's just,
the
that's
link
big.
in the show notes for people to be able to get involved in that. Tell listeners where they can find you and follow you personally.
So I'm at on Instagram. You can go to our company Instagram. That's Crohn's Colitis, CROHNS, colitis, COLITIS _lifestyle. So Crohn's Colitis _lifestyle. My Instagram is Dane Johnson 1, and then you can go to CrohnsColitisLifestyle.com to see more about us. And our YouTube channel is youtube.com/CrohnsColitisLifestyle. That's where we post a lot of our testimonies and long form content. And yeah, just send us a message. And if you want to learn more about us, you can schedule a free 45-minute private session with one of our IBD sports specialists who can talk about, your case and how we work and make sure it makes sense. And that's completely free. It's at the fill out and intake form. And last thing about it is all of our team members have Crohn's and colitis. Like
I love that too.
we all have it. I mean, because it's just we know what it takes. Like talking about bowel movements and surgeries, or methotrexate or Entyvio or any of this stuff. Like we've just been there. And some of our CSs, we call them CSs, but our support specialists, like shout out to Erica, Becky, Taryn, and Kelly, our newest CS we're training right now. I mean, Kelly got IBD when she was 12 years old. She's had her entire life. She's had multiple surgeries. She's failed 4 biologics. Failed. She came to us 5 months ago at 28 years old. Okay. She's been sick her entire life. She came to us more than that, 8 months. It's been 8 months since she joined. She was a tough case. She didn't get perfect results in the beginning, really hard. But 8 months later, she went from 103 pounds to 142 pounds. Bowel movements from 13 to 15 a day down to 2 to 4.
Wow.
In 7 months. And she's now using Rinvoq. That was the latest biologic. But I asked, so we're using that. So we'll use conventional medicine with natural medicine, especially with a severe case. But she's got her life back. She's not worried about a bathroom. She's gained all her weight back. During her prom when she was 18, she weighed 92 pounds, and she's, her healthy is 142. So, and she's one of our support specialists. So it's like, and Becky started the program while she was in the ER, where they were telling her, you have to get your colon removed right now. No more. You have to get it removed. This is life-threatening. She never got it removed. She joined the program from London. And she didn't have any money. She raised the money to join the program. She got with our coaches. We got her symptom-free in 3 months. But it wasn't like, okay, when you get symptom-free, it's also not like you're walking on a cloud. It's hard work still. Like even 6 months later, 8 months later, we were doing a parasite cleanse with her. We were doing anti-H. pylori, because you can have speed bumps as you go. Like these severe cases, you got to keep treating things and looking at something. It's not a magic potion that we're doing. We can get you great results quickly, but you gotta really learn your stuff. You're up against an opponent that the doctor says is incurable, and you have to remove body parts for. So it's this is not something we're going to take lightly.
That's awesome. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in changing people's lives. I love people who are just giving empowering knowledge to help people take their health to the next level. And you are absolutely doing that. And you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.